computer. Okay, so I would like to hear from Colin and Daniel if you're willing to be the firms in today's exercise that I want to do. But let me just talk more about the overview of what's going to happen. Colin says, great. Daniel says, I don't mind. Great. So you will make essentially a contract with some of these other workers. And I'll help in the sense I'll be like a centralizing mechanism for this market where I match workers with firms. In fact, I might have a limit to, I don't think I want one person to hire everybody. We'll see about that. Let me talk a little bit about the workers' incentives. You are going to have one of three abilities, and that's red, green, or blue. So every worker I will randomly assign as being either red or green or blue. And you will know what your color is, the workers. So that's important. Workers know their colors. Workers know their colors. They know if they're red or green or blue. However, the firms will not know your color. The firms, and remember there's two firms here, Colin and Daniel, will not know the colors of the workers. Maybe I shouldn't have chosen colors. Sometimes I do this with playing cards, and then there's like, I know I use the different suits of the deck. I thought, I mean, I could do that. I just chose colors. Okay, so firms don't know the colors of the workers. It might seem like, well, then it's just arbitrary. You might get lucky and hire somebody with a high productivity. I'm going to say red is the highest, then green, then blue. So red has a productivity of 150. Green has a productivity of 100, and blue has a productivity of 50. So those are the productivities of the workers. And in fact, that's how much a firm would value this person at the maximum. In other words, if you knew a worker was red, you would never want to pay them more than 150 because you would actually be not making any money off of them. Let me be more specific. The firm's payoff is equal to the productivity of their worker minus the wage of that worker for every worker hired, okay? So if you're a firm and you hire 3 people, let's say you hire a worker at a wage of 80, and that person happens to be red, then you'll make 70 points from this person. So you get a payoff of 70 from the red worker who you hire at a wage of 80. And let's say you hire a blue worker at a wage of 60. How much money do you make off this worker that you hired? You actually lose 10 points. So firms are a little bit risky here. If you give too high of a wage for a worker, you could actually lose some points on them. So I'm really talking to Colin and Daniel right now. Do you guys understand? I'll explain a little bit more, give you some formulas, but do you understand now how your payoff is determined? Colin and Daniel? Okay. So I'm going to test you. Let's say you hire someone at a wage of 85 and they happen to be a green. How much do you make or lose from this person? Wage of 80. Nope, it's not negative 15. How much do you make? It's 15. You actually make positive 15, right? So remember, the productivity minus the wage is your goal. You want to maximize that. Okay. I think they got it. They said, I don't know why they both said minus 15. Maybe it's just because I said 85 first, and then the green was 100. And so in your mind, you're always thinking first thing minus the second thing instead of the other way around. Okay. Yes, that is correct. Now I need to talk to the workers because you are just going to randomly be, it's going to seem really unfair to you. Like, why am I green? Why am I blue? I wish I were red. I don't want to worry too much about where this comes from. I'm going to just say it's random. Maybe I should have gotten answers from all of you guys to see. I could rank you all and punish the ones, but then that would be public. Okay, let's just continue this. You, me, because I'm the one who made this experiment, have the opportunity to get education, get higher education. So everyone has a high school education, but you can get more than a high school education if you want to. You can go, and there's 4 different possibilities for you to get education. You can, well, one is none. No degree. That's if you just keep your high school degree. One is community college. One is VCU. You can go to VCU, and the 4th one is Harvard. Okay, so you have to choose. All these workers, it's like they're pretending like they just got out of high school and they have to decide what to do next. And you have these 4 options: no degree, community college, VCU, and Harvard. And the workers, they're not going to know what color you are. They're not going to know whether you're red or green or blue, but they will see whether you got a college degree and from where. And it's up to you, the workers, to decide what college you're going to. Okay? And I might do this sequentially. Unfortunately, people who go first are going to not have the benefit of experience, but maybe that might actually be a good thing. We'll see. Maybe we'll do multiple rounds of this. It depends on how much time and whether you guys like it. But there is a point to this, and I'll actually talk about the point a bit later. Well, no, I'll tell you right now what the point is. We're going to see whether there's some truth to this prediction that sometimes education is a signal. Education is a signal of your abilities and your productivities. And we have different colleges in this country. Some people go to college, some people don't. Some people go to really good colleges, private schools. Some people go to community college, and there's a big difference there. And you assume that there's a difference in perhaps in the ability of the person who can get into, especially if a school is selective. The more selective a school is, the more a signal it is that you got in and you got a degree from there. So I want to talk about an idea that economists have. Michael Spence is the name of the economist from like 1970. You wrote about this a long time ago. But it's still here in economics, this idea that maybe higher education isn't so much about learning new skills and being more productive, like learning how to be a better worker. It's actually about providing a signal to your future employer that you're high ability. And that's the main reason we all go to college, is just to say, I have this ability that's better than what most other people have. Okay, so let me tell you about the costs of going to college. So for each I sort of ranked these. I hope you can tell which ones. I hope no one here at VCU is upset that I ranked us below Harvard, but I did. I'm presuming right now that Harvard is a better school than VCU. You may disagree with that personally, and I won't begrudge you if you do. But the costs of going to these schools are going to be increasing. No degree, that's the cheapest. Community college is more, VCU is more, and Harvard is even more expensive. Which you might say, okay, well, isn't that true for all abilities, red, green, and blue? Actually, no. The point of this is that going to college is cheaper if you have a higher ability. In fact, you're more likely to succeed at Harvard if you are smart. That's the idea, that whatever they're doing over there at Harvard, you can't really say if it makes you smarter. We don't know if it makes you smarter, but the idea is if you're smart, you're more likely to succeed. That's the point. Okay, and if you're quote unquote smart, then you're higher ability and you're more likely to be productive to a firm that hires you. So here's what I want the workers to do. I will send them a private message in chat, in Zoom chat, that tells them, the worker, what their ability is, red, green, or blue. And I don't want you to announce that to anyone. The only thing I would like you to announce to to everyone is where you go to, where you're going to, how much education you're going to get, and if from where. And then the workers will see your education, and they may start bidding on you. They may want to hire you or not. Yes. And then I'm wondering if we should wait until the end. Maybe we'll wait until the end to see what everything was, because I feel like there could be some bizarre effects here. If yeah, you may get the wrong impression based on the beginning of the experiment, and I'll sort of see what happens, and if we're getting too far off track and nothing we're doing is making sense, then I'll put a stop to it. But so let me explain again what I would like the workers to do. I have a graph here of, not a graph, a chart of the costs that you will be facing, and you should pay attention to these. Okay, so here is the costs of going to college for the different types of workers. I'm sorry, I should make this a little, I think I have this a little miscalibrated, because I don't want these two to be exactly the same. I'll say 2 there. It hardly matters. Okay, so if you're a worker, this is the cost of education, is this box here. Make it a little bigger. And then this is the productivity for your types. So for example, if a worker goes, let's say a worker is green, remember, I'm just going to type into chat I'm going to send you a private message telling you what your color is. And I tell you you're green. What if you say, okay, I'm green, I'm going to go to community college, which costs 5. So you do that. You go to community college and it costs 5. And then Daniel and Colin decide whether they want to hire you. They see that you went to community college, and maybe they say, okay, well, I'm willing to pay you 60. I'll give you a wage of 60 for that. What would your payoff be as a worker? You have to go to worker payoff here, which is equal to wage minus cost of education. Well, if your wage is 60, because let's say Daniel offers you a wage of 60 and you say, I'll take it. Your cost of education was 5. That means you get a payoff of 55 for this exercise. But your goal is to maximize that, to get the highest payoff you can. I'm sorry, I think this should be a little bit higher. I'm sorry for making VCU more expensive. I'm raising the tuition for VCU, but I think it has to be for the purposes of this experiment. Well, let's go 15. Let's go 15. Okay, so some people are going to be really unlucky by getting blue, and I apologize ahead of time to these people. Do you think I should try to make it merit? No, I'm not. I think it has to be random. And if you happen to be blue, I apologize, because it means you cannot get into Harvard. It is literally impossible for you to do that. But you can go to non-CC or VCO. And every worker's payoffs is calculated the same way. It actually, look at these payoffs. It doesn't matter if you're red, green, or blue in terms of your payoff. In terms of your payoff, you get workers' payoff, this one. Workers' payoffs is always your wage minus the cost of education. So I take it back. It does matter in the sense that your cost of education could be different, whether you're red, green, or blue. But your payoff, the way it's calculated, is the same for everybody. And same thing for firms. Firms, all they care about is how productive is this worker that they hire minus the wage they give to this hire. Do you guys have any questions about this? I'm trying to explain it to you so that we all understand it before we start. Oh, by the way, I will keep track of, yeah, I'll just keep track of you right here. Your name, your education. No, yeah, your education and your wage if you're hired. Oh, by the way, I want to give people an outside option. Sorry. This game is a bit weird if there's no outside option. The worker's payoff is this: wage minus cost of education if hired, and so you have an outside option to just not work at all. I'll make that. It actually helps you. The more outside option I give you, the more bargaining power you have with the firms who are trying to hire you. You don't want them to be able to say, well, if you don't come to me, you'll get nothing, right? And then you'll be out on the street with no food. So I'm going to give you an outside option. Maybe this is a basic income right now. I'm giving you a basic income of 20. Okay. I'm wondering if that is even too low, but no, 20 if not hired. So it's actually not basic income. It's either or. Either you get the 20. It's like unemployment insurance. Okay. If you're unemployed, you still get a payoff of 20. If you are employed, you get a payoff of your wage minus the cost of your education. Does anyone have any questions? The first worker that's willing to play this game, send me a private message. So send me a private message in chat that says I'll play as a worker. Daniel and Colin are already playing. I need a third person who's willing to be a worker in this game. Shreyas is playing. Okay, Shreyas, you're first. I need a randomization device that you can't see. If I told, obviously, if I told everybody, I'm gonna randomize this number. I'll show you how I'm doing it. I have on a separate computer, I have a random number generator using Google. And I have a ranking red, green, and blue, so I'm going to do it now and see what it is. Okay, I randomized, and I'm going to send a private message to Shreyas. Don't tell anybody what your color is, Shreyas. All you have to do is publicly announce what your education is going to be, and I will write that down. So the first player is Shreyas. Oops. Why can't I type there? There you go. And employer. So do you understand the game, Shreyas? You need to decide if you want to get no higher education, that will cost you 0, or go to community college, in which case you'll either pay 2 or 5 or 10, it depends on your color, which I'm not going to reveal, or you can go to VCU, which you'll have a cost of 5 or 15 or 30, depending on your color, or you can go to Harvard, unless you're blue, which case you can't go to Harvard. I will stop people who are blue from going to Harvard. But if you do, it's 20 if you're red, and it's 100 if you're green. So right now, if you would, Shreyas, you can take some time to make a decision. Yes, that is correct. But you realize, yeah, so this thing, the cost of education, if the number is there, it's available to you. But remember, some costs are pretty high. That's all I'll say. I have to send a private message to Shreyas. Okay. Shreyas, can you make a decision? You got to decide where you want to go to school. Your payoff is your wage that you will earn if somebody hires you, minus the cost of education if you're hired. If you're not hired by anybody, you just get a flat of 20. He's going to VCU. Okay, so now I would like Colin do Colin or Daniel, you want to offer Shreyas a job? He went to VCU. And if so, what wage? Can you see the cost of education thing, Shreyas? Daniel, and do you want to hire Shreyas? You need to offer him a wage if you want to hire him.
I'll work on to make the first offer.
Colin says he'll hire you. You went to VCU. He'll give you a wage of 60. Daniel, you don't want to offer him a wage either. Oh, he'll offer you 65.
Am I allowed to negotiate?
So that's how it's going to be.
Yeah, you can quickly negotiate. Sure, it's already 10:29, but yeah, I want everyone who wants to play this game, I want to give them a chance. So
can somebody go for 50?
You want us to bring the price down to 50?
Yeah.
I'm perfectly okay with that.
Yeah, that sounds
wait,
cool.
Shreyas, you're asking to be paid less?
Sorry.
This is your wage. This is how much money you're making.
No, sorry. I meant to say, I meant to go up, not down. Can I go 70?
You want 70?
Yeah.
Mm.
Sorry, I was thinking about it the wrong way.
So guys, remember what his productivity. It's either 50 or 100 or 150. If you hire him at 70, he turns out to be blue, you'll lose 20 points by hiring him. But if he turns out to be red, you'll gain 80 points by hiring him. So you don't know. It's a kind of a risky thing for you to do, maybe. But you do know that he went to VCU. That's all you know about him.
All right, Shreyas, let's settle on 60, and I think we have a deal.
All right, Colin, how about you?
65 sounds good.
Colin will offer you 65.
All right, I'll work with 65.
All right, then I'll give you 66.
Anybody want to go higher?
It's going to be like an auction. I want you to accept one of these offers. I'll write it in here. You went to
All right, 70 done.
No.
70. All right, 70. Anyway, final offer. Make a final offer right now.
Pretty soon we might have to make these like single bid offers instead of negotiating.
I think he's all out of options. I think you're rolling with your best bet right now.
All right, 72. Let's do it.
All right, look, I'm gonna give you 75, and that's it. Nothing more, nothing less.
Say who you want to hire, who you want to.
All right, I'm gonna work with Daniel. He gave me 75.
Yeah. Okay, so the wage is 75, and the employer is Daniel. Should I let them know what you were?
Yeah, if that's how the game, like the next step of the game is.
I mean, I think maybe it'll help everyone understand if you don't mind. So he was green, and that means Daniel, your payoff is you actually made 25 points on him. Good job.
Cool, perfect.
And okay, so what was Shreyas's payoff? He made a payoff of he got a wage of 75, and he only had to spend 15 of it to go to VCU. So his payoff is 75 minus 15, which is 60. You got 60 payoff for this game. There's going to be a big variation here. I apologize. I'll try to make it fair some other way, but your goal should just be to get as many points as you can. Rhea says she'll play, but somebody else said next. Myron. I'm going to give Myron a chance. I'm going to generate a random number. Okay, Myron, you're still here.
Yep, I'm out here.
Myron, you got your education, and now your type. The color is your type, and now you have to decide what education you want. You know what? I'm going to do this for Rhea also. Rhea, I'm going to generate a new random number for you. Anybody else want to play? And then you can solicit offers from people once you decide. So here's what you could do. You can announce your education. Myron and Rhea, just announce your education and then get offers from Shriyat, from Daniel or Colin, and then I'll write them down. If you have a mutually agreed upon offer, then I'll write it down. Okay. So I'm a centralizing component of this game, but actually only to organize what your decisions are. So you decide where you want to go to school and what wage. Anybody else want to play? These are basically free points that actually help you in this class. It is part of your grade. Let me remind you, 10% of this grade is participation, and that includes the exercise points that we generate. So so by being here today, you have a chance to get some points. Okay. So I have 30 workers now that are in the pool. Okay, Ria's going to VCU.
And I'm gonna go to
I'm going to type Ria's name here. Ria
community college.
chooses VCU. We'll determine what all this other stuff later.
All right. Ria goes to VCU, meaning that okay. All right. Ria, I'll start you off with an offer of 60.
I mean, Shriya's got 75. All right, Colin, I'll go with 75.
All right. Okay.
You good?
Let's slow down right quick and let's look at this.
Let's look at how you offered her an unfair wage. 2020 wage gap, gender studies, man. Ria, come on, work for me.
Okay. No, Ria, I will give you 76. One more
I
dollar.
don't know, man. That
One more
doesn't
dollar
seem
to
too
it.
great.
But then, Colin,
Colin,
you hired her.
Kevin, do you want to play?
Sure, I'll play. Yeah.
I mean, let me be clear. This is points that will determine your grade in this class, because I want to incentivize you to care, and the only way I'm not actually paying you real money. The only way I can really incentivize you to care is with points. So I do recommend that you play.
yeah,
You're
so
here. Kevin, let me randomize for you.
Oh wow, I know your worth too. You just don't want to accept it. I was going to give you 76.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And Ian. Anybody else? Ryan will play. I'm giving you colors. Once you know your color, look at the cost of education and decide. Did anybody? Oh, I'm sorry, Kian. Kevin, didn't I give you a color yet? I did. So those of you who have colors now, please decide where you're going to school. Once you decide where you're going to school, I'll type your name here, and then I'll let the firms decide. Oh, Tina's going to VCU. So we have. I'm sorry, Ria. Did you ever decide who you want to work for and what?
yeah, 75 from Colin.
Ria is going to be 75 from Colin. Okay. Tina is still open. We have Kian that went to community college.
All right. All right.
I'm sorry, Myron went to community college now too.
All right.
And what else do we have? Any other decisions that were made? I don't see anything.
All right. I will give 100 to Ryan and to Robert.
Ryan, well, we
Oh,
have to,
I mean, no.
we have to wait. We have to wait for him to decide that, and you know, obviously, Ryan and Robert
That's my offer.
both are going to Harvard.
Yep, that's my offer.
Kevin is going to VCU. Okay.
Ryan
And
and Robert.
of course, what I'm please take your time here. If you're a worker, to get wages or to get offers, wage offers, and choose the one you want. You can hold out for a better one. If somebody says I'll pay you 50, you're like, I think I can do better than that. Remember, your outside option is 20. So if you don't, if this game ends and nobody's hired you, you still get a payoff of 20.
Myron and Kian, I'll give you 65.
Tina, you'll take the 75. Colin, are you still okay with giving her 75?
You want 70? Let's do 65. It's still a better offer than Colin. Let's do it. Kian and Myron, 65.
Sorry.
There you go.
Oh, you're just negotiating with them.
Yeah.
So I want the worker to be the one that confirms it, just so you know.
Okay.
I mean, you can talk. No, you go ahead. You can talk to him.
like-
I'm looking at the
Go ahead
chat.
and roll with Daniel's offer.
Cool. Perfect.
Everybody went to college, though. Look at this. Nobody decided to just get no education.
I even forgot that was an option.
Oh, you did? It was right here on the left. None, CC, VCU, Harvard.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
that is
I want to after this, I want to have a discussion over what is the point of education? Why are people spending this money to go to college when it doesn't change their productivity? You're just as productive whether or not you went to college.
No, I think the college experience is invaluable to be around like a large group of your peers that also like want to make something of their lives and like, you know, like really like I feel like it's a very good environment. I feel like you can't really I'm actually going to talk about this in my debate next week. Like it's just against free education. I just don't think that if you were to bring down the price of education, if everybody could access it, then we wouldn't take it as seriously, and we wouldn't like the value of the college degree would decrease. You know.
Great. I mean, this is the issues that we're dealing with in this game. The reason I'm giving you this game, I want to continue playing it. If has anybody else, Kian, Myron, Ryan, Robert, do you have any wage offers that you want to accept?
I think Daniel offered me
Who's
100.
David?
I'm gonna take that.
We're already taking Daniel's.
yeah, the Harvard kids took my offer. For 100.
Okay. Sorry. So Daniel, do you want to hire Robert for 100?
Yeah, I'll take Ryan and Robert for 100.
Well, I'm just going to go by Robert because he's the one who said he wanted it.
All right,
Okay.
Ryan, if you could please confirm for Professor.
Oh, sorry. Okay. So you're getting both of these guys.
And then-
Daniel's hiring a lot of people.
And then Kian and Myron, I offered them 65, so if they could also confirm as well.
Colin, are you going to make some offers here to get some people?
I mean, Kevin and Tina already accepted my
sorry.
offers.
Sorry, I missed it. I'm sorry. What'd you say? Kian accepted 65
Yep, there you go.
from Colin. Is that right?
No, from Daniel. I got Kevin and
Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm reading this and I say I'll take it. And I don't know what it is. And there's a lot of ambiguity in these messages.
Yeah.
Tina and Kevin accepted 75 from. I already have that down.
Yeah, Colin's taking all the VCU kids.
I don't have Kevin's though. 75 from Colin. Is that correct, Colin?
yes.
Okay. So the only two people are Kian and Myron.
And we took it from or we accepted There you go.
65?
Yes, correct.
From who?
Daniel.
Daniel, is that okay to hire these two guys at 65?
Perfectly fine.
That's fine? Okay. I think that's everybody. It's time to reveal some colors. And I have it up here. What do you think about these two guys who went to Harvard? Are they red? They don't have to be red, do they? They could be
Yep.
green and just have spent 100. But the only way to make sense of spending 100 points to go to Harvard is if you really thought you were going to get a wage well above 100.
I mean, I'm okay with breaking even.
Sure. Oh, you're thinking about because the productivity is 100. Even if they're green, you don't lose anything. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah.
But they were both red. They both got lucky in my randomization. and they were both red. So their payoff is they actually only spent 20 going to Harvard, those lucky bums, and they got a payoff of 100, so they get 80 is their payoff. Let's look at Ria. I believe, Ria, you were green. Is that correct? Which means you went to VCU and you were green. You had a cost of 15 for doing that. 15 minus 75. Your payoff was also 60. Look how uniform these wages are. Harvard people got 100, VCU got 75, and people who went to community college got 65. It was pretty. There was no variation according to wages and education level. All
I
right.
feel like if we had like communicated with each individual person one-on-one, and they didn't see the wages that their coworkers were making, then we could have possibly had more variation.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
if everyone sees what everyone else is making, they want the same thing. So
Let me see what Tina was. What color were you, Tina? I gotta find this out. I think you were green, weren't you?
yeah, I probably could have brought down the $100 for the Harvard.
Actually, no. Tina was blue. I'm sorry. Tina was blue, which means for her going to VCU was kind of expensive, wasn't it, Tina? You were blue. But you went to VCU. It cost you 30, but you still got a wage of 75. Maybe it was worth it. 75 minus 30 is 45. That was your payoff. Kian, what color were you, Kian? I think you were blue. I typed it in private chats to everyone. Yes, he was blue. There you go. And he went to community college for a cost of 10. 65 minus 10 is 55. Myron, what color were you?
Blue.
Okay. You would only admit that, and you have no reason to lie about being blue. 65 minus 10 is also 55. And Kevin, what color were you, Kevin?
We can go with green.
I want to know what color you actually were instead of just what you can go with.
I mean, productivity-wise, like, how do you determine that?
Oh, I used a random number generator for your colors.
Oh, it's just random? Okay.
Yeah, I used Google. It's off screen. I didn't want you to see it.
Oh, no problem.
Oh, Kevin, you were green. I thought you were, I mean, it didn't sound like you were honestly saying you were green. It's like you didn't remember. Okay, you went to VCU. That means your cost was 15. 75 minus 15 is, wait, is that right? Yeah. But what I find most interesting is that your education level was a perfect predictor of your wage. And I think somebody, was it Daniel, who said the reason that is because these negotiations were public. I think it would have been maybe more interesting to have private negotiations. And then sometimes in class I do that. I let you sort of just kind of walk around and talk to each other and choose a wage. And I'm sort of taking myself out of it. I say, well, once you've agreed upon a wage, tell me and I'll write it down. And then it's not so uniform. Yeah. But by the way, the firms, you can probably calculate your own payoff if you want, but I can do that for you here. Why don't I wait and do that, in a second. Let me say what the message of this was. I'm going to stop sharing so you'll pay attention to me. And that is, there's a theory known as signaling in economics that says, in the labor market, at least, there's labor market signaling that says education doesn't make anybody more productive. When you go to school, you don't learn how to be an accountant or an economist or an engineer. None of that actually matters, which seems kind of crazy, right? But that's just the presumption. Let's just talk about this extreme case where you go to school, maybe you study English or something that doesn't directly make you more productive, but people still do it. And the reason they do it is because it's a signal to their employers that they're higher ability. And in fact, they're willing to pay to do that. And I think that's what we saw in our game. I should have continued sharing it. In our game, every single player decided to get some level of education, when if you think about it, they could have just skipped college altogether, and they would have had zero cost of education. They would have had to pay nothing for college. But why? I'm kind of curious, workers, why did anybody even consider just not going to college and saving that money? Somebody was blue and went to VCU. You actually spent 30 points going to VCU. Did you ever consider just, let me just skip college and not pay that cost? I mean, okay, workers or firms, anybody who wants to comment here, like, why did this happen? Why were people willing to pay that cost of education? Deduction is what I wrote here. I chose to go because I knew I'd get offered a higher wage. Okay, Tina, how did you know you'd get hired? You just felt like it. You felt like if you got a better college, that would be a signal that the firms would think that you're probably higher productivity and therefore give you a higher wage. There's no other way to show your worth. Yeah, by worth, it's productivity. I agree. So, I mean, I'm running out of time in this class, but there's two sides to this story. I'm just giving you right now the one side, and that is education may purely just be a signal of ability. You don't learn anything. You don't become more productive. You don't, and so let's think about that. If we're going to talk about providing free education to everybody, to public tuition-free universities across the country, we're not actually making people more productive, are we? We're not actually teaching them skills that will make them later on in their lives more productive. If this theory is right, if the game that I presented you today is a representation of how the real world works, then wouldn't we be better just having no college at all? Everyone could save that money on education, on going to college, and then people like me be out of work. Right now I'm making the argument that I'm not necessary in our society, which would be bad for me. But I'm just telling you the story. And it worked. When we did this experiment, I wasn't sure it was going to work, but it did. In fact, sometimes we get people we're only two people with the highest ability. Sometimes you get those people trying to play the game and save the money on education and get both, have their cake and eat it too. Usually that doesn't work. Usually the people who are red, like Ryan and Robert they have to go to Harvard. Otherwise, they don't have to, but it's worth it. That's what I should say. It's worth it for them to go to Harvard. Even though it was a little bit more expensive for them to do that, their wages went way up by going there. And so that's the model. That's the model of education as a signal that I want us to know about. I want us to be familiar with this model so we can contrast it to another idea, which is colleges increases the productivity of everybody who goes there. And therefore, we as a country should encourage as many people to go to college as possible. That would be one side. The other side is like this game that we just played that said, actually, college doesn't make anybody more productive. It's only there just to sort people out so that the people with the high abilities get the higher wages. That's it. And if we could do that some other way, like just take a test, just take some kind of test, and that'll be better than spending 4 years going to college. That's the other side, in which case we shouldn't encourage everyone to go to college. It's just a waste. So we need to talk about this on Monday. And then our debate about it is on Wednesday. Okay, so when we talk about the other side on Monday, debate on Wednesday, I think that's it. You don't have any homework. Other than your debate on Wednesday, you'll have to write up which side of the free education, free public tuition-free public universities is what you're going to have to decide and write about on Wednesday. Any questions about that? Thank you guys for participating. I'm sorry those of you who ended up being blue. I'm going to stop recording, but I'm going to go back and calculate what Daniel and Colin earned on each worker.